Iraq Currency Watch podcast. Here's Marcus Curtis and Sam I Am.
Welcome back to the podcast on Iraq Currency Watch. I'm here with Sam I Am, and we've been having a pretty good conversation. We've been revealing identities and talking about how we're bringing his site over to my site and merging the two together. So we've been having a good time here, reminiscing about...
Have we? Okay.
I have been having a good time reminiscing about older days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is, like I said, somewhat painful when you talk about... some of the things that we've been through, but a lot of good memories too. A lot of nice people that I've met along the way, and I've learned so much.
Right, and that's the thing about growing pains is the way I refer to it, because I actually got a lot of things from the Dinar. I mean, I've learned how to blog, I've learned how to maintain websites. This is something I would never have done if it was not for the Dinar. It put me in a situation where I basically learned how to do this because I really had no other way of learning it. I mean, I'd probably just be a guitar player without any website experience if it wasn't for the Dinar. I also learned about currencies way more than I care to know. And I also learned about, global economies, again, way more than I care to know. Most people find this stuff really boring because, all this financial data is attached to everything, and economics comes with all these factors, and it just really is like a sleeping pill, and it puts you to sleep. But, no one wants to learn this stuff willingly. But when you're stuck in something like this and you're forced to learn it, there's benefits to having this kind of a background and knowledge.
Sure.
So, but you had a guy on your comment section. Was it Dinar Believer was his name?
Yeah, it was spelled wrong, but yeah, it was Dinar Believer. Beleleiver, I think is how he spelled it.
Now, he was from Europe or England or somewhere like that.
England, I think.
England, right.
He claimed anyway.
So was that the English spelling of the name, or was he just wrong with the spelling?
I think he was just dyslexic.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can relate to that. He came over to Baghdad Invest and was over there for a while too. And they had some of the same issues with him over there. And then he came over to Iraq Currency Watch and was commenting, but I never really... this guy, he got attacked. And he was...
Well, he was a troll.
He was a troll. He was very defensive, yeah. He's going to get... If you're a troll, you're going to get attacked.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially when people are being damaged by something like this. Now, I don't know if he actually believed this or if he was just kind of doing it for entertainment. It's really hard to know, but he basically came to my site one time and asked me if I would take on another person to be like a co-writer. He wanted to write something to post. That's
what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody who's completely unqualified.
That's what you want. It's a dyslexic troll to help you write for your blog.
Yeah, well, you see, he did that over at Baghdad Invest. Baghdad Invest let him write something, and I guess...
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and Jack responded and just shredded him. Just absolutely shredded him. And Jack was one of the sharp ones over there. And so, he came asking me if he could post on my site. And I told him, no, I'm the only one that's ever written for this site, and it's going to remain that way. No one has put their input in. I write about what I want to write about. But he kept on asking. He was persistent. So I came up with an idea. I told him, I said, listen, if you really want to write, why don't you just start your own blog? And why don't you go ahead and write posts for what you believe the Dinar is going to do on your own site? A simple solution. And I told him about WordPress. I told him how to get started and how easy it is. And he asked me, well, if I start a blog, will you come read it? Sure, I'll come check it out. I wasn't lying to him. I'd go over and check it out. Mm-hmm. And so I'd never heard from him after that. And then like 3 weeks later, some girl from England contacts me. Her name was Amanda or something. I forget what her name was. Wants to know if I would accept anything from her writing about the dinar and if I would put it on my site. I think, wait a minute, is this the dinar believer? Yeah, what a coincidence. It's the only 2 times I've been asked that in the whole history of the blog. What do you
and you happen to have the IP address.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the first thing I checked out. So I thought, no.
Yeah, well, I never told people this, but back when he was causing such an uproar at my site and I banned him, he was begging me to let him comment again. He said, I'll behave, I'll be nice. I said, no, I gave you 2 chances, and you blew it. I said, that's it. And he kept on saying, well, it's not fair. All those guys are attacking me. And I said, they only attacked you because you came over and started trouble.
Right.
And then he was going on, well, you got to you got to let me, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I said, no, go away. And we're saying all of this stuff back and forth in private because, I wasn't publishing any of it.
Right.
He's just sending me a comment awaiting approval. And these comments are all saying, please let me blog. Please let me comment.
Right.
And finally, I just absolutely said, forget it. Go away. Leave me alone. It's not going to happen. And he says, I'm going to kill myself. I'm not making that up. The guy says, okay, I'm just going to kill myself. Will that make you happy? All right, I'm going to kill myself now. I've got a gun. I'm going to kill myself or something like that.
Picture is loaded.
Something crazy like that. And I said, well, I hope you don't do that, but I'm not going to change my mind.
Well, after he left your site, that's when he went over to comment on Baghdad Invest. So, then after he ran into me on Baghdad, because, people were attacking him. I never attack anybody. One reason for this is because, if you're going to go and bring somebody down and personally insult them, that just basically shows that, you don't have any evidence to back up what you're saying. So you're attacking this other person as a way out of desperation. But if you calmly state the facts and they disagree with you, that's fine. Yeah. But if somebody is attacking you, it's because they don't have any backing for what they're saying. And they're left with making you look like an idiot by attacking you personally, as a way to try to prove their point. And so I've never attacked him or anybody for that reason, until it came down to there's certain things that really came down to bare knuckles where finally, okay, I'm gonna take the gloves off here because that's what's needed. But it was always a last resort.
An interesting thing though, after he said he was going to kill himself, he came back a week or so later and made another comment about, that guy said something about me. You need to let me respond to him. And I said, what are you doing here? I thought you'd be dead by now.
Yeah, would you miss?
The last I heard from you, you were going to kill yourself. And now you come back and you want to respond to somebody.
Aren't you dead yet?
That's what I wanted to say. Aren't you dead yet? But yeah, he was a piece of work. And now that I've told everybody what my name is, he used to ask me if my name was Rob Saunders. My name is not Rob, R-O-B, it's Rod, R-O-D. But like I said, he's dyslexic. And apparently somebody posted my name over at Dinar Vets, and he took that and brought it over, but he got it wrong. And he says, who are you, Sam? Is your name Rob Saunders? I said, no, it's not. He says, who is Rob Saunders? I said, I have no idea. Never heard the name Rob Saunders.
The funny thing is, you weren't lying.
I wasn't. If he had just not been dyslexic, if he could have gotten the name right, I wouldn't have been able to say that. But anyway, yeah, he was the thorn in my side for the longest time because I wanted to be fair. I didn't want it to look like I was, censoring anybody.
Right. He was the same way over at Baghdad Invest too.
Yeah, but I don't think they were quite as patient as I was.
No, but they let him post a few things in articles and stuff. So I think that, I wouldn't have done that. I've been kind to the guy. I've never insulted him or brought him down, but because I don't believe in that sort of thing. If you're debating somebody, you don't attack people personally if they disagree with you. That is just
The whole thing in running a blog and running a forum, which I've never run a forum, but Chuckles ran a forum, and I helped him a little bit. It is such a pain because you're doing so much babysitting,
right,
that you really don't have time to handle, more important matters because you got all kinds of people getting into. I mean, it's not just trolls coming in and wanting to debate. You also have members that get mad at each other.
right.
It's such a hassle, and I had a little bit of that happen with my blog, and I said, I put all the information out there that needed to be out there. I got better things to do, and so I went ahead and hung it up. Now you haven't said anything yet about our book,
right? I didn't read that. Speaking of better things to do, I've told many people that I wrote another book about the dinar, but I have not told them is that Sam I Am, aka Rod Saunders, is the co-author of this book.
Ta-da!
All right, here we go. Ta-da! Okay, so this is like two books in one, basically. I write the first part, and Sam writes the second part. And so tell me a little bit more about your section.
Well, I just basically am telling my story from kind of like a human interest standpoint. I mean, I spent 3 years blogging, exposing people and writing about currency and, economic information and stuff like that. And I wanted to give it a more personal touch and just, tell my story about how the whole thing happened and the kind of the behind the scenes stuff that people weren't familiar with. Like I said earlier, a lot of people weren't aware of how integral a role Chuckles played in all of this. You and I actually started talking about the book before Chuckles passed away, and it was going to be a 3-part book.
He was supposed to write the third section. Yes, he was.
And he actually read the rough draft, my rough. I think he read yours too.
He read mine, and he told me he had his mapped out in his head. He just had to write it down.
Yeah,
and he never did.
Unfortunately, he never wrote it, so we don't have it. So I try to include some of the information that I'm familiar with about his background, and I think I knew enough. We talked a lot, and I think I know enough about his background where I kind of told his story
right
for him, and you did a little bit of that as well.
I did. I left his family out of it. I just talked about him personally and some of the relationships that we had one-on-one. It's just was a sad time for me when he passed away. I didn't really tell a lot of people about it. I just kind of kept it to myself. But I tried to also put a lot of funny stories in this book. And there are several stories in this book. This book is going to make you laugh. It's going to make you whatever. But it's not really.
You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll kiss $10 goodbye.
Right. That's the famous saying. But actually,
it's free.
It's free. It's not going to cost anything. You're going to be able to download it for free, and you're not going to pay a penny for it. And because we are not about making money with the dinar. We are about informing people the truth so they can avoid this at all costs.
Exactly.
And not lose friends or family members over it. It's not just a thing that robs you of your money or your finances. This thing has really disrupted family life. It's torn apart marriages. People have squandered their retirements on it. This has been very devastating.
We'll be right back. Have you ever tried to learn about basic economics only to get bogged down with complex math and advanced equations? This can be frustrating. Learning basic economics should not be this hard. Head on over to the site called Biblical Views in World Economics, or BVAWE, and learn about basic global economics. Start off learning about monetary history. Then learn about various monetary systems that have been in place, such as Bretton Woods and the classic gold standard. Learn about basic money mechanics. What causes inflation? How is the global money supply expanded and contracted? What is fractional reserve banking? All of these topics and more are answered with easy-to-understand basic layman's terms. This site is brought to you by the same person who brought you Iraq Currency Watch. The Biblical Views section covers modern Christian traditions that are not found in Scripture. It covers areas where the Bible has been taken out of context by the modern church. It provides arguments against subjects like tithing and the prosperity gospel. This site is more about the function of money than it is about Christianity. There are some principles that Christians believe about money that actually have no scriptural basis whatsoever. So check out Biblical Views in World Economics today and learn how money really works.
If you listen to radio or watch TV, you may have heard commercials that started like this.
We predicted the 2008 meltdown.
Or they may add,
We predicted the housing bubble in 2008 and the dot-com bubble.
these statements are designed to make you think that the people represented in the advertisement are financial experts. The commercial may claim that the advertiser has successfully navigated through a series of bad economic events and brought wealth to many people. The next statement is typically something like this,
The Federal Reserve is printing too much money.
which is followed by,
A collapse of the dollar is coming.
sometimes this can be followed by,
This collapse will make the Great Depression look like a recession.
and the next statements are typically,
How will you prepare for this financial collapse? How prepared are you for the collapse of the dollar?
and now the sales pitch begins.
Not only can you avoid the pitfalls of the coming economic collapse, but you can actually profit from it.
And from here, the product is pitched. And sometimes they offer you a free guide. This is so they can get your mailing address or email address. And once they have those things, you are bombarded with even more propaganda. The conspiracy theory used to sell these products states that there will be a global currency reset. The dollar will crash overnight and it will be immediately replaced. Is there any truth to this?
Read the book by Marcus Curtis called The Truth About the Coming Global Currency Reset and get the facts behind the hype. It is available on Amazon, Smashwords, and other ebook retailers. Learn the truth behind the global currency reset and put your fears to rest. The Word of Faith movement has impacted Christianity like few movements in the history of the church. And yet it is one of the most misunderstood and misrepresented movements as well. To help people learn more about the truth of Word of Faith teaching, Rod Saunders has written an exhaustive book on the subject entitled Defending the Faith, Word of Faith Apologetics. Based on his extensive history in the movement and over 30 years of research, Defending the Faith addresses many of the misconceptions that people have concerning things like confession, physical healing, the atonement, and financial prosperity. Now available at Amazon.com's Kindle publications, Defending the Faith takes on the often misleading rhetoric and assertions of opponents of the faith message with a balanced scriptural approach to these subjects and more. Don't be misled, get the other side of this story from someone who's been there. Defending the Faith, available today at Amazon and your favorite ebook retailers.
The Apostle Paul said, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God to salvation for everyone who believes, for the Jew first, and also for the Greek." Are you a Christian who needs help in sharing the gospel? Do you need access to information on subjects like evolution and creationism, Calvinism, or glossolalia? Do you need a better grasp of the fundamentals of the Christian faith? The Apostle Peter tells us that we should always be prepared to give an answer to those who ask us for the reason for the hope that we have. As believers, we not only need to know what we believe, but why we believe what we believe. JewandGreek.com is a fresh, innovative Bible apologetics site providing Bible study resources and information on philosophies, religions, denominations, and cults, along with commentary on current doctrinal issues. That's www.jewandgreek.com. Log on today to better equip yourself to provide a defense for your faith.
You are listening to an Iraq Currency Watch podcast. Here's Marcus Curtis and Rod Saunders.
Yeah, you told me a story about a lady from a church up north.
Oh yeah.
Where the whole church is involved in this thing.
Mm-hmm. The whole church is, yes, absolutely.
And
she is not. So, yeah. And I mean, I pray for her. My heart goes out to her and the church.
She contacted you, right?
She did contact me. I'm not going to mention her name or anything, but she's a wonderful lady. She's just she's at a point where she doesn't know what to do. So she's ingrained in this church. It's hard to get up and leave a church like that,
Right.
And without saying goodbye to your friends as well, because you're basically alienating people.
And I heard a story, the most bizarre story. I think when you interviewed me a month or two ago, you asked me the strangest story. Well, the strangest thing that I heard was these people who had been camped out in Reno, Nevada.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
For the longest time, waiting for this global exchange, waiting for their 800 numbers or whatever.
Right.
There was this one person, a guy contacted me, and he told me that a friend of his had been in a hotel in Reno, Nevada for a year.
Yeah.
Sitting around waiting for this thing to happen.
Right.
That it was, she couldn't talk about it. She signed an NDA, non-disclosure.
Mm-hmm. But somehow we got our hands on some pictures of those people. We'd never published anything about that, but yeah, they were not just waiting for the dinar to revalue; they were also waiting for some kind of global currency. This whole thing that was supposed to happen.
One of the things that she told him, this thing is huge. I can't talk about it, but it's no longer about the dinar. This is a global currency deal. Mm-hmm.
Which has its roots in Nasera, by the way.
And that's why it's taking so long, is because it's really complicated. There's so many things to, so many different dots to connect to make everything go smoothly.
Talk about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, it's sad. And he said, this woman, he said, I don't even know how she survived. She spent all of her money.
Mm-hmm. She can't get home to her family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually, I think his name was Slingshot or something like that. But he became a big time, anti-RV commenter on my blog. He was really doing everything in his power to get the word out.
Yeah,
because he saw what it did to her.
Yeah, people who really get hurt are the ones that are the most vocal about there's going to be a redenomination and this is not going to happen. So it hurt a lot of people, not just, like I say, financially. I mean, relationships have been destroyed, marriages have busted up. I've gotten emails from people, and people will just tell you anything. There's a lot of things I keep in confidence. I'm not going to share anybody's name because I'm keeping things in confidence. The only reason why I'm sharing these stories is because it's more than one story, and it's something that has happened to several different people. So, but anyway, there's people who say, well, my husband has bought all this dinar and he's gone over the deep end. I've been using portions of your blog to show him and he refuses to look. Or my wife has bought dinar and she's gone off the deep end and I've used portions of your blog to show her. And so, you get this feedback from people. And you see that, you are making an impact and a difference to a certain degree. But those who don't want to see it just will not see it.
Interesting thing is, I heard a lot of stories that I never blogged about because there was no way of knowing,
right?
For sure if they were true. But I heard one very interesting story from a reliable source about a particular guru whose wife was upset about the dinar. She said the dinar has just taken over our family. Mm-hmm. She said it's ruining our marriage. And this guy was a very well-known guru. And his wife was just, what do I do? Well, I know this thing is not going to happen, and this is a guru's wife saying this, but it wasn't just destroying investors. It was also destroying some of the people who were pumping it. Mm-hmm. And, it's difficult to say. When I got into this thing, I didn't realize, what a scam it was. And as I learned more and more, I began to see this person's dishonest, this person's dishonest. And the temptation is just to say that they're all crooks.
Right, and that's not the case.
You can't say that because I know you at one time, Marcus, were your blog was dedicated to telling people, what's going on with the dinar and how it's probably going to RV soon. And I know you weren't dishonest. You weren't scamming people. You just didn't know any better.
Right,
And
I
I
believed
think,
it.
right. I think some of these gurus didn't believe it. Or did believe it at one time,
Right.
and some of them were scammers, but some of them did believe it. But at this point, I don't think anybody could still be promoting this thing and really honestly believe that it's going to happen.
Not with all the facts that are out there today.
With all the facts, with the dinar dealers that are being shut down,
Right.
people who have been arrested, the backgrounds that have been exposed on this thing, you got ISIS, you got all of these things going on. I think at this point, anybody who's still out there telling you that this thing's going to happen any day, you might as well just write them off as a scammer.
They've got to know better. They've got to know better, and they choose to continue to promote it because they're too invested. Either they are making money from it, or they have money tied up into it, and they don't want to face reality. And that's the sad thing. And you can't go by what they say anymore. They've been proven wrong time and time and time again. So I think at this point, if you're out there still hyping the dinar, believing the dinar is just a pipe dream, I mean, you ought to know better. But like I say, it's inductive reasoning. They don't want to know, so they don't look at the real facts.
Yeah, there's this one guy out there who has, at least 2 years, probably closer to 3 years now. He's done weekly conference calls, and he tells people every week, any day now, any day now, any day now. He's been saying that all of this time, and the people still listen.
Yep.
And I'm just amazed. And, he claims to be a Christian. He claims, he prays for people and stuff like that. And he, come on. At what point do you have to say the guy cannot believe in this?
Right.
The guy cannot be honestly telling you any day now, any day now.
Right.
He knows better.
Right. What really bothers me is the way this investment was marketed to the Christian community and sold as a way of biblical prophecy. Even Clement, I think I got his name right. Clement,
Kim Clement.
Kim Clement. He has several videos on YouTube that I saw about him saying the dinar is going to revalue. Blah, blah, blah. So I began to look into Kim Clement, and I found all these other predictions he made that were wrong. So it's one of these things where it's lucrative, and people are sending donations, and people are paying money. So the truth has to be the most important thing in your life. If you ever want peace about anything, you have to know the truth. And without the truth, forget about it. You're not going to be at peace. So it's just, to me, it's just one of these things that were targeted to the Christian community, and they wind up believing it on a prophecy level, and they don't even realize all the scriptures that were taken out of context. And when you sit down and explain how the scriptures were taken out of context and what they really mean, and how it doesn't mean this, and they begin to see it for themselves, then they begin to wake up. Which I should tell you, I have written 2 other books outside of the dinar, and I get some downtime at work. I begin to write, and I've got a biblical prophecy series I've been working on that explains really what it means, and I got another book I've been working on as well. So I got 2 more books ready to go after the dinar is done. So we'll see how far I get this year. I want to see if I can get these books done and over with. And I also got a couple YouTube channels I'm working on, and then we got the dinar blog, and then I got the music site, and then I got this other website called Biblical Views in World Economics, which is basically an economics site, and it debunks the biblical prophecy stuff. So,
and you have a job too.
And I have a job, yes. So it's hard to balance all of this stuff out, but you have to do it in stages. That's why I don't release a post every week on Iraq Currency Watch, because it's not the only iron in the fire. But now that I have some help, maybe we can get some of these things done. I would like to get a dinar YouTube channel, or not a dinar YouTube channel, but an economics YouTube channel going, where we focus on economics and we can discuss the dinar, make some dinar videos and stick them up there. And we can talk about the global currency reset and some other things. But I'm spread way too thin. You're spread way too thin. And as soon as we get some of these projects done, then it might be something we can do in the future.
Right. Well, one thing about YouTube is that it's the number 2 search engine in the world, next to Google, which I guess Google owns YouTube. But next to the Google search engine, YouTube has the second largest search engine. A lot of people are looking at information. They're looking for information on the dinar in YouTube.
Right.
And so I thought, instead of just, posting on a blog, why not start creating videos where people will find them and they'll get the information in the format that they're looking for it.
Right. Yeah, we need to look at that. And I've started this building a multimedia center thing, and it's been taking a long time. I got 7 videos up there now, and it's basically shows you how to put together a multimedia center, because we've talked about Chuckles and tech stuff. It's basically taking your flat screen TV and plugging in your computer and getting all of your media through these 2 objects, and what to do and how, and the hardware involved and all that kind of stuff. And so that channel has taken up, I got 4 series I'm doing for that channel. I've working on the first one, Cody for Beginners. I got 3 other series I got to film for that alone. My guitar website, I got to do an open tuning thing for that, and that's going to be 20 videos. And so wow. We're spread thin as thin can be. Then I got the remodel of the studio coming up. We're going to put in a green screen section, and so it's just a lot going on. And so when we do these podcasts and we release Dinar information, please be aware that we can't keep up on a daily basis. Now, if something were to happen, like say some indictments were to roll out or something big in the Dinar community were to happen, yeah, we'd switch focus, stop what we're doing, and turn.
Speaking of which, you do know that Tony TNT has been there's been a gag order issued on Tony Renfro.
Yeah, I know that because somebody left a comment that I approved not too long ago that he was talking about that.
Interesting.
He can't talk about the dinar anymore, and I guess the court order says something to the effect. Now I'm speculating here, so I need to clarify this. The order said something to the effect that he's doing the same thing that he was doing with this thing he got jail time over. So yeah,
right. Basically, he was scamming people with the dinar, just like he was scamming people with the previous product. And they said, I think the terms of his plea deal require him to abstain from talking about the dinar.
I wonder what the other terms of his plea deal was, because that guy only got a year jail time.
You think maybe he's saying like a birdie?
I think that's why Sterling is in so much trouble. I think and again, we should back up and say, I don't know nothing. This is just speculation. Yeah. I don't know if this is true or not.
It did seem awful coincidental, though, didn't it?
It sure did, and the coincidences is what sets off my radar here.
Right.
So here he gets he gets a year and a day for what he's done.
He gets a slap on the wrist, and at the same time,
no more than 2 or 3 weeks later, when they hand down the sentence, they're walking into Sterling and closing up shop.
And then they shut down Dinar Broker or Dinar Corp.
Yeah, well, that was later on, and I think a lot of that came from the trial that they had with when Dinar.
So basically, the theory would be, we don't know this, but the theory would be that Tony ratted on all of these dinar people, specifically Sterling.
Right.
And then Sterling gets a federal complaint?
Right. As a consumer, and I forget what they call it. Consumer,
whatever it was. Yeah. It wasn't an indictment per se, but they shut the thing down.
Right. Now, it was interesting to me. The thing that stuck out the most is that the government has been watching Sterling since 2010, according to the consumer complaint. That's what it was, a consumer complaint. Now, typically what they'll do is they'll release consumer complaints in order to freeze the assets, and then the indictments come later. Well, if you remember what happened with the BH Group, they came in and raided their offices. Yep. We didn't know what was going on until 6 to 8 months later, the official indictment came down. So here we are. This happened in when? July June, July.
It was, yeah, June or July of 2011.
Okay, we ought to see something around April.
That'd work for me.
Yeah, we ought to see something around April along that same time frame. Who knows the way it'll play out, but what the government has up its sleeve should be revealed around that time.
But here's the interesting thing that I was getting at is that after Sterling was shut down, Sterling was involved in a lawsuit with Dinar Corp.
Yeah.
They had Dinar Corp was suing them over something.
Right.
And so they had all kinds of discovery information on each other.
Right, and that's what set off the red flags
for Dinar Corp to get shut down.
Right. Well,
so it's like a chain reaction. Tony, then Sterling, and the Dinar Corp. Now who's next?
Well, here's the thing. When I was reading about the indictment online, I don't really comment on Dinar Corp all that much. I try to steer clear from them. But when I was reading through the indictment online, there was something I noticed, something about the government watching them too, but since not as long as they were watching Sterling. It was since 2011, and I don't remember the month, but apparently they've been keeping records since sometime during that time frame. And that's when the government was watching them. And it's around the same time that the lawsuit began to surface. So I'm thinking that maybe when all this stuff became public knowledge or public record and was recorded in the courts, the government says, okay, that's the stuff we need. Mm-hmm. And then the government, because it became a matter of public record, the government made it a part of their case. I don't know. Like I said, this is all speculation. We don't know. And it's important I can't stress this enough. We don't know anything about this, and we're not going to know until everything is official.
Probably well into 2016.
I would imagine, yeah. These guys were main currency dealers. Now with let's see, Ali merged with, who did he merge with again?
Dinar Inc.
Dinar Inc. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, there's people who are still in business. But the time to turn in this currency or get rid of your currency is rapidly running out. So if you're listening to this and you still hold dinar, you are really, it's already been devalued. So you're not going to get as much on it in the trade-in process. And then you're going to be lucky to find a dealer that will take it. And the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be.
It's like musical chairs.
Yeah.
When the music stops, you better not have any dinar.
Right. You better not have any whatsoever. Because whatever you have is what you're going to wind up losing. You'll be just like Jordan in 1993 going, open the border, let us trade this stuff in.
Yeah.
Sorry about your luck. Maybe you can find some Kurds to pass it along to or something. I don't know.
I always told people that I'm like a guy driving down the road, approaching a bridge to cross over a river to get to my destination. And as I'm approaching the bridge, something doesn't look right. I slam on my brakes, and at the last second, I stop and see that the bridge has been washed out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at that point, I have a decision to make. Do I just turn around and look for another way to get across the river and get where I'm going? Or do I stay and tell people, stop?
Right.
Stop. The bridge is washed out. Right. And keep warning people until the authorities arrive and shut the thing down.
Right. My analogy was similar to that, but it was like a house is on fire. You're in your house, it's on fire, and it's asleep. And I go into your house to wake you up, to tell you that your house is burning down and you're going to die unless you get out of your bed. And you're mad at me because I woke you up. Yeah. That's my analogy.
That's a good analogy, too. But people need to understand, because people said all kinds of crazy things. Marcus, you know this. They said, that Sam I Am guy works for the government. He's trying to get people to turn in their dinar, give up on their dinar.
Said same things about me.
They said that, Sam I Am is working for dinar dealers. He's an anti-pumper.
Right.
BGG, I think it was, said that these guys are anti-pumpers, that these dealers have pumpers and they have anti-pumpers, and they make money coming. They make money coming and going. They make money either way. Well, that's crazy, because it wasn't like they had any trouble getting the stuff.
No. And why are you selling something that what benefit would I have selling a product and having somebody out there tear down the product? I mean, really. I'm trying to sell this thing that I can't get anybody to buy because so-and-so's over there making a strong case against it.
Yeah.
Am I going to employ this guy to, continue to make your strong case? So that way I can buy back this stuff at a discount. Now I buy back the stuff at a discount. Now all of a sudden I have no one to sell it to because so-and-so made such a strong case. Now I'm in trouble. I got Dinar and I can't get rid of it.
And that's pretty much been the case.
Right.
A lot of these dealers now they've their market for selling has dwindled, and people selling the Dinar back to them, that market has grown.
Right.
Well, what happens when you're buying more than you're selling?
You're not making any money.
You got a negative cash flow.
Right.
And you're not going to last, and you're not going to stay in business very long spending more than you're bringing in.
Right, because if your outgoing exceeds your income, then your upkeep will be your downfall. So, yeah, or something
Say that
like that.
again.
If your outgoing exceeds your income, then your upkeep will be your downfall, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to. There's a number of reasons I wanted to come clean and let people know. I always said that when the time is right, because so many people, who are you? Who are you? Who do you work for? Why are you doing this? I always said when the time is right, I'll tell my story. Well, now is the time, and this is my story. And I didn't work for a dealer. I didn't work for the government. Never had anybody in the government contact me even.
Right.
Not one time. The only people who have contacted me, there was a lady from a TV station in Alabama that contacted me, and then the BBC contacted you.
Right. They contacted me in that one Dinar story. Right.
I think the TV station contacted you too, right?
No, they didn't. I commented on their site. I never did talk to the TV station, but
I never had any government person contact me or any Dinar dealer contact me about compensating me for it.
No, neither have I.
I had dealers contact me, but
I've had them contact me too, but not
necessarily what I wanted.
Not in the concept of paying me money. In the concept of taking money.
Right. In a friendly way.
Thank God.
Yeah. So I'm just a guy. Like I said all along, I'm just a guy who bought Dinar before I did my due diligence. When I realized the mistake that I made, I felt an obligation to warn people.
Yep. Same here.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy. And people would say, well, what kind of expertise do you have? What kind of credentials do you have? What kind of contacts do you have? And I'd say none. I have no intel. I have nobody at the CBI is giving me any information. I don't have any degree in economics, anything like that. That's why I give you links.
Right, exactly. And people would ask me, well, why are you certified? How can you? They ask me the same stuff. I said, well, let's see, my contacts is this guy named Google, this other guy named Yahoo, and this other guy named Bing. Those are my contacts, and their contacts is all this information they bring up. Here's a government website about currency supply here. Here's this website saying that China has 120 trillion yuan in circulation. Here's that site. Here's this site. Why do you need to be certified to display facts that certified people display? I never got that. I mean, here's these guys that are the official sites who have the certifications to back up everything. Use their information. What they say. Yeah. I don't need to be certified to share their information. That's just stupid thinking. And it's an attack basically to try to disqualify you from making an argument. Again, it goes back to that personal attack to make themselves look better.
If you don't have an argument, then it's what we call an ad hominem attack.
Yes.
It's attack of the person rather than their argument.
Exactly right. Okay, well, on that note, I thank you for joining me on this podcast, Sam.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Good. And we're going to have you again. You'll now be an official co-host, and you're a co-heir in Iraq Currency Watch. And we'll go ahead and post all your information. We can get started, and we'll release all the stuff you've been posting. You got about 40 pages up there, I think. And we've already done some cosmetic things to the site, and now we're going to release all this information. Look for the page sections of the site. That's where a lot of the archive information is going to be. Thank you, Sam, for joining me, and we'll see you all later, and we'll see you in the next podcast.